Hello everyone, my name is MrFrogger and welcome to Inspired by Studio Ghibli. In this creative build series, I plan to create a bunch of builds either based on or heavily inspired by the world of Studio Ghibli. For this first episode, I'll be creating the Okino Residence from Kiki's delivery service. But if you have any suggestions for future builds, please do let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoy this episode and this series. If you haven't seen the film, here is an image of the build, and I picked this one because, well, there's a lot of greenery, which I really enjoy doing, but it also has quite an interesting roof line, as I'm not particularly an expert in roof lines, and so I thought this would help me stay in my comfort zone of overgrown, but also challenge me. So let's jump straight into it. And I'm actually going to use a technique that I saw in a Pixlriffs video recently, which was to make the build first out of a one block, in this case stone, and the stone slab and stair variant to work on the shape at first, and then go in and add the detail with other blocks later on. I normally focus on organic builds, and as such I'm not particularly well versed with roofs and roof lines, and so I feel like doing this with a one block challenge will actually help me out to focus on the line of the roof before working in all those lush and green details. So let's give it a go. As I'm not 100% sure of the scale of this build, I think it makes sense to start working on the porch area first before we take on the roof. And for this I'm going to go for a 3 wide stair, and then on the sides we're going to go up by 4. We are then going to add a little wall on each side of 2, and then another pillar. On these sides we're going to repeat the process, so a gap of 2 and then a pillar. For a bit of detail, we're going to come in with some stairs and add a little trim in here. And in the gaps where it is 3 like this, I think we will put a slab for now, but we'll probably convert that for a trapdoor when we can. Now I am going to focus on mostly the outside, but I will do the inside a little bit. For the roof, I think we will do a row of stairs, followed by a second row of stairs, I think followed by a row of slabs, and then 4 blocks at the back. And as I said, I think when the whole building is in place, we can come in and tweak this transition or this slope. But for now, I think this could work well. Now that we have the porch in place, let's move on to the left-hand side of the build. And for this, I'm going to do the windows 3 wide and then bring in our pillar. And again, we will use the slab in the middle here, but they will probably be trapdoors later. There are 5 of these in the film, but I am concerned that that would be a little too much. So let's start with 3. And we can always add more in later. And for the roof line, we will just continue it across, though the front roof will kind of cut through here to make the archway. Now, in the film, the side of the roof actually curves back up, so let's try and recreate that by adding a layer of stairs and a layer of slabs to give it that edge. Again, this might mean we want to extend this out, but as we build, we'll see the scale work a little, and we can tweak as we go along. Now, on the picture I'm working from, there is a kind of an overhang for the roof, and I think it goes all the way to the front of this, but I think for me I will only go a couple out and see how it looks. So what we're going to do first is give a little space for a window. So we're going to have a thing of 2, then a space of 2 for a window, and another 2 on this side. And on the 6th one here, we're going to start bringing in the roof. So we'll bring it out 2, and then we'll start working it up. And we're going to work it up in a combination of 2 tall and 1 tall in places so that we get a nice curve to this building. I think to start with, we're going to go 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to do a couple of 1s. Let's try it first with 3 of them. Yeah, and I think something like that has a good curve to it, and we just need to bring it down on the other side. And at this point, we want to kind of make a space to try and connect this roof line into this other roof line. And there we have it for our basic roof line. To be honest, I think this kind of highlights one of the reasons I don't normally do buildings in Minecraft, because, well, the scale of this thing as a player-sized object just feels massive. But let me fill in this gap here with stone and we can work out a few more of the details. And now that we have this in place, well, I feel like this window is a little small, so let's pop this out a bit more and make that a little taller there. Looking back at the image, we want a window, and we probably want it about here. You know what, I might bring that up actually. Remember, even though we are building out of stone, nothing in Minecraft is set out of stone. If you don't like it, you can just build it again. Yeah, I feel like that feels a little more true to the picture. We have the basic front of the shape now, and so we're going to add in some depth, and I want the build itself to be 21 blocks out this way, plus the 2 overhang on the other side as well. So let's do that, and I'll bring you back when that's done. This thing is definitely starting to look, well, just like a big grey building, but now we can add a bit more of an interest into this side. And what I've found is I found a few other images of models, and they have the roof coming out this way. There are little differences in the front, but I quite like the idea of having a second roof coming out this way that's a little lower. So the main roof here is 25. So if we find the 13 point, which is here, and I think if we come down to, let's say, this level, and we bring out a roof. Yeah, I think that could be good. We have this roof here ending here, so let's bring it to this point. And now what we want to do is bring a roof that curves down into here from there, and also that kind of curves into this main part of the roof. So let's try and get that sorted. And actually, now I see this, I feel this is too big a step, so let's replace these with slabs. And that just feels a little nicer on a curve. Now, the problem I have is this roof starts steep, as it is here, but then kind of flattens out as it gets closer. And I feel either we need to get this roof further out, or like continue further back, or move this whole thing back a few here so it starts closer. So what I think I'm going to do is take this roof here up a few levels. Yeah, I feel like that is a better roof line, so we're just going to move this whole section along to here. Okay, now we have the 2 main roof lines in place, and we have this little front roof line. We might want to tweak this a little so it doesn't hang out quite as much as this, but I think we will do that later on. Now it's time to add in a few more windows, and I think we're going to start here by just punching out a relatively large window. Then in this space here, I think what we will do is have like a little lean-to kind of building that could be used as a shed. So let's just say it'll be 5 long, and something as simple as that should be fine. And then on this side, I think what I want to do is punch in another window here, and then kind of have it on the same side here as well. So it's kind of like the corner of one room. Then up here we have another big window here, and I think what I will do is add a smaller window here that could be kind of on the stairs on the way up to the top floor. In this back corner space, I think we get another window there, probably do some form of a door in this area, and a window there, I guess. Now on the back here, I think what we will do, if we can center it, is build up another kind of outcrop and build a bay window, I think, for this one. And I'll just put a rough roof line in that we can work out once we kind of go in and add in the glass. And above it here, instead of the kind of upright window, I think we'll just do something as simple as that. Now for the roof here, I think we add in a few dormers, and yeah, on this level feels like a good one. So let's punch in some dormer windows. And we'll just mirror this on the other side and do the same on this part here. But for this one, to line up with this window, we're going to go in here. And I think what we're going to do is just go for something as simple as 3 kind of areas like that. And we can add detail around it once we have the blocks. So we'll just repeat this on the other side of it. And on the top of the roof, I think we're just going to leave in some space for some chimneys. So again, we'll count in 3, and let's add a chimney here, and we can build up on top of it. And then on this one, we'll do the same, but we'll only do it as a single. And as we build up this more with detail, we might find we want to add more of those in, but that's no problem to do later on. And I do think the shape is looking good. I think it has helped me using just the single block, the stone, to focus on the shape side of things rather than jumping straight in to all that lovely detail. But good news, it's now time for the detail. With the detailing, we're going to start with the porch area, and I have the following blocks lined up. We have a mud brick wall, we have a couple of the birch variants, and we have some grey and light grey glass. This area in the middle here will be the wall, and I want to try it out with the wall to see if it works, giving it a little extra depth without it looking too weird. Now these pillars will be a combination of birch and the planks, and these area of 3 will have the same wall as before, but on top I think we'll go with a window, and I like going with the grey and the light grey together because it feels like it's a little, I guess, uncleaned. And on this side here, instead of the glass panes, I think we will just add some trapdoors, and they can be almost like shutters that maybe they could put up if they wanted. Now to start with this roof, I'm going to use these mud brick blocks to kind of fill out the whole thing, and then we'll go in and add a bit more detail. So let's do that first. And I quite like the look of this waxed exposed copper, so I think we're gonna bring in a bunch of this in with it so it feels a little aged. Yeah, I think that's cool. And we'll also bring in some packed mud in places, and it doesn't have to be steps as well. If there are steps in place, we can go with like a full block here and there to give it a bit of shape and depth. Now I do like the copper in there. It does give it a bit of a green kind of color to it, but we can go over the top, I would say, almost with this green color. Down here we have some moss, some concrete powder, and the azalea bushes, and I think what we're gonna do is go in and just add a lot of green, because this is supposed to be an overgrown feel, and in the picture before, pretty much half of this roof was green. So let's just go in and add a lot of green. And there we go, a very overgrown green porch area, but with still that kind of brick look coming through the leaves. And I do think this copper really helps kind of blend between the brick and the green. Now the next step on the build here is to work on this main front-facing wall, and for that I have some smooth quartz in both stairs and block form, as well as the mushroom stem. And I'm doing it this way because I feel like these textures just blend super well together, and this mushroom block looks like kind of an aged and weathered quartz. So what we're going to do is we will replace the stone with quartz and then go back in and add some mushroom stem. With the quartz in place, yeah, it looks way too white, but going in, as I said, and adding in a bunch of this mushroom block will just feel like it is aging well. Very nice. And now that we've done that, it's time to work in some of these green blocks into this build. So in places we can go in and add them flush, like this, and at the moment I'm not planning on doing the inside, so that'd be okay, but we could always double thickness the wall on the inside so we don't see these. And then for a bit of depth we can come in and add in some of our leaves. We might change these around once we've got the roof in place, but for now a few randomly placed leaves will look good. Now for some window trim, I feel like we stick with the birch trapdoors, and I think it'll be also nice to go in and add some vines and glow lichen to kind of help this transition here. And to limit some of the growth of the vines, I think we can add in a few buttons in places and other items just to hold off the growth. Nice, and that is looking really nice and overgrown. As I said, we'll work in some more leaves in once the roof is sorted, and that is our next move. So moving on to the roof, we need to go in and add in our bricks and our copper in to this roof. So we have 2 parts left to do before we add a bunch of greenery to this roof. We have these dormer windows to do, and we have the chimneys. So let's start with the windows. What I'm going to do is just come up with some birch like this, add a little roof line on the top, and add a few shutters in. And we'll repeat this for all the windows. And once we've added some glass in, I think these windows are looking good. Now, for these chimneys, we're just going to raise this up a little bit. We will add in, again, some of this mushroom, because I feel like if we've got this smoke going on, the mushroom looks pretty good. We'll add the campfires, and we'll add a set of trapdoors. And we'll do the same for the little over here, but we'll just do it thinner. Now that is looking really nice. We're going to finish up the roof by adding in our greenery, and I'll bring you back once that's done. And here we have the finished thing. Now, I will be honest with you, this is the second time I filmed this ending part, And the first time, well, I had a lot more leaves in the build, and it just felt a little too cluttered, and it hid the kind of nice green and brown color of the roof. So I decided to go in and clear out as many of the leaves as I wanted and just add a few little bundles of leaves every now and again. But I hope you can see, compared to the image, it's looking fairly good, I think. On the sides here, we've gone for a little less green into the roof, but on this part here, we decided to go for more green as well. That's how the image had it. Around this bit in the back, we were just making things up. Maybe we'll come back and do an interior, and at that point I would go in and finish up some of these windows and just tidy things up a little bit, make sure there's a door to get out to the back, sort out the garden and everything. And with shaders, yeah, it's looking pretty good here. And I am very, very happy with how this build has come together. I hope you've enjoyed the start of this inspiration series. Working in Studio Ghibli style has been quite a challenge, but I think going with the single block to start with really did help me out. If you have enjoyed it, please do consider liking the video, and if you're new here, why not subscribe? And please do let me know if there are any other types of builds from Studio Ghibli you'd like me to take as a challenge. And until next time, bye bye!